Hi. So, what is this room called? What is this talk about? SFX? SFX. So, my name is Tom McInerney, and I'm the chief makeup artist and prosthetics designer on Vikings, the TV show. And this is Mark Maher.
Hello,
Mark.
how are you? How you doing?
Introduce yourself.
I'm a miniature model maker, props, and I do a lot of prosthetic stuff as well. I've worked on The Hobbit and a few other feature films as well. Alice in Wonderland. I'm currently on a show called Into the Badlands. Does anybody know that show? It's a more of an American TV show. He was on it here, one of the doubles, stunt doubles. So we're just going into season 3 of that right now. So we're just going to showcase some props. We'd rather do like show you stuff physically, because it is an SFX panel instead of watching a slideshow and get extremely bored.
Yeah. So
Or you might get really bored of this anyway, but we'll describe stuff. But as much questions as possible as well on the TV shows we've done, the methods, how we make them.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time. Like special effects is a funny term for what we do. It's we spend a lot of time jumping through hoops, and I don't know if you could term jumping through hoops as special effects, but that's the special effects that we do. We work really hard to make things work, and I know that sounds like a kind of
Every day can be quite different, isn't it? Especially when you're asked to make certain things, because they might say, we want the head chopped off here and to fall off. We want the guys to flip in the air with the weapons. We want them to land on the ground with the weapons. We want the weapons to come flying out of his arms. We want weapons to be, hidden weapons all over him. So we have to design on the fly.
Yeah.
Who here is into like wanting to get into industry for special effects? Is there a lot of you that are into it, or is it just something like the miniature side of stuff? That I would have done was more set design and doing miniatures and the kind of Rivendell and all that kind of stuff, and kind of delved into that world for a couple of years. And now the special effects side is more design on the fly.
See, special effects has become a really broad term as well. I mean, I do special effects makeup, Mark does special effects model making. Then the special effects, there's a digital special effects, which is kind of an umbrella term for
that kind of stuff.
Well, this is physical digital printing. Then you have the background stuff. Scenery, fire, smoke, atmosphere. When we can't kill stuntmen, we usually make digital ones.
It's a pity
because they're pretty hard to. It's pretty hard to pay enough money for them to actually die.
Now they do get hurt quite a lot, and that's where sometimes I'll come in. Could you pass me that sword there as well?
Yeah.
So obviously they can't go around with real swords, so we have to come up with swords that are, it's okay, this has been used quite a lot, so the paint is kind of starting to dull a bit, but on camera it'll look fine, so it's just
pretty impressive though.
I know, it's just rubber, so it's quite good for, if you jab somebody it's a little bit sore, but this is a magnetic thing as well, so it just jumps on like this, so we can do a bit of double action kind of stuff. Yeah, it is. So we'd make a mold of that sort. We'd make a mold of all our stuff. And Into the Badlands, they require, because they're extremely, they really do go for it. There's no real, tap here. They do go for it. They break a lot of swords. So we have.
They break a lot of heads as well.
They break a lot of heads. They're really, you know what? The casting Into the Badlands are probably the toughest cast that I've come across. Anyway, they definitely throw themselves forward and to make it more enjoyable for you guys as well. But they work out a lot. They do a lot of hard work, and then we have to in turn do a lot of hard work with the weapons as well. So we mold everything, and I've maybe 20 different type of liquid rubbers for different. So it's a liquid rubber that will cure over maybe 2 hours, and then some might cure overnight if we need a hero weapon that needs a lot of high detail, and then some that will cure when they run down to me and go, "We've broken all your weapons in the first hour. We need more, quick." And then we have to start banging out loads of weapons. So it's everything is molded. So and we use really kind of fast silicons as well to mold. Has anyone here used silicons? And obviously this is like a silicon that's been deadened, so that it can move. And same with the baby here.
Does anyone want to give these a fiddle?
A touch maybe, or There is a baby.
We've got a
there.
little baby here as well.
Yeah, so don't say the word fiddle. So each individual hair, maybe don't make him do yoga. Just if you could, yeah. So each individual hair is punched in as well. Don't open his stomach whenever you do there. Don't open the top. So don't. So this was made for, anyone knows a TV show called Penny Dreadful? Yes. So I was the lead model maker on that, and we had to do a lot of stuff like crazy Victorian gothic horror, really cool stuff actually. I'm quite surprised it ended because it was just starting to kick off.
Okay.
What?
It was okay.
It was okay. He's Vikings, whatever. Yeah. So it's a mixture of this world and like again these little 3D prints. Well, we're quite close there. So we designed these up on ZBrush, and then we just print them out, and they can be kind of sci-fi bits and pieces, and they can be added onto weapons. And they're quite cool. They get really high detail. So we've a load of 3D printers out there this year out in Badlands just to make the weapons kind of cooler.
Another thing, the industry is changing a little bit.
It is, yeah.
I mean, a lot of the stuff where you would make, a lot of the stuff that you in the old days would have made practically is. It seems to be the way forward now is everything's going to be done digitally through ZBrush or through Maya or Rhino, and then we print the stuff out. I mean, they're even printing prosthetics now.
Yeah.
You kind of you bridge a funny. Yeah, you're in a funny time now in terms of how you best approach a career or
and how to get into the industry as well.
Special effects. Yeah.
How do you go about getting in the industry? It's probably a big thing you're looking at, and how do I break into the industry? What should I learn first? What's the skills? What should I stay away from as well?
Bribery is good. Bribery, money.
Bribery,
you want to give me money?
Yeah, maybe Google. But no,
I'll give you a shot in the industry.
Yeah, yeah, fiber. But YouTube has loads of stuff. Just be careful because YouTube is full of real dangerous things. How to do special effects? Like if people using plasters straight onto skin, So it depends on your budget, obviously, as well. That you can't go spending all because these are bought through production. They're not bought by us. This silicon is very expensive stuff.
We also. I mean, this is the other thing. Don't be fooled. We spend other people's money.
Yeah, it's not ours.
We spend lots of money. It's like
all the holidays. Yeah.
And the thing is, there's a reason for that. Is that we can't afford to experiment at the pace at which you move. You can't export. You can't like when you're at home. You can afford to. Well, you have to experiment because you don't have the money. But our schedules are so tight, and our delivery dates are really kind of a lot of times irresponsible. If you want this to work this way, you just got to sign the check and don't ask any questions. And they do, and
they're
that's
very
how
supportive.
They're great. We've done really well. The production, our producers support us really well.
Yeah.
They allow us to build the stuff, and we deliver the goods. But
it's a team as well. It's not just like the two of us will head up the look of it, but we have a team of extremely talented trainees to assistants, and it moves on up. So. We can show them at the start and train them up through the years, but then they become their own art as well. And then we have some really, really good artists with us at the moment, especially like my team, because we're separate. He's out in Vikings, out doing his thing, and I'm into the Badlands doing my thing. So I have a team that are trained from model making, maybe not prosthetics and sculpting, but they're trained in sculpting. Like if we have to make like a snake, kind of a head coming out of a sword or something like that, they're all trained in anatomy as well.
Who can sculpt?
Bet you there's a good few here. You can see
one.
No, there's definitely more than one.
Is that a fake hand or a real? What is it? Okay. And nobody else? You? Come on.
Do you know what it is? It's confidence as well. As Irish, we're terrible for it. We're just like, no, I couldn't do it. I can't do a thing. You can. It's just a process.
It's like small prosthetics, like bows.
Oh yeah.
You see these prosthetics?
Cats, sculpting monsters.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, that's sculpting.
And that's so great.
I'm not looking for people that can sculpt like David.
Yeah. So you also can see these, yeah? Yeah, so they're just individual prosthetics, and you can see the way they have little skin around them. Can you see that? It looks like a latexy type thing, but it's actually like a layer that you put into the mold first, and it's like for a blending edge. It's baldies, but it's just knowing each individual material that you use, that's going to give you a really high finish. All the skin texture is sculpted onto this.
Can you hand this around?
You can hand the baby around, yeah, but it is weird. Close the stomach up.
I'm going to take it as hard.
The stomach is opened on that because it was Penny Dreadful. They're weird. But they were brilliant. It was an amazing thing. But it was definitely. Can you close the top? Maybe. Can you close the top?
I just don't want to lose the heart. You know?
Yeah, you can hand the baby around. That's definitely the weirdest thing to hand around. It's up here. There's swords. Everything's rubber and safe. And you're handing
the baby's a bit sticky.
Yeah. It's the blood. It's the fake blood. It's the fake blood.
So it's pretty good. You can kind of get a sense of.
Can I get the water there?
Yeah, sure.
I'm starting to panic with you handing a baby around.
He
does that though. He's just
the reason why I had to take it is this baby was an autopsy baby made for Penny Dreadful, and its guts come out.
There's witches in Penny Dreadful, and they cut it open.
Pretty brave thing to show on telly, but nonetheless they did it. But it kind of gives you an idea of the bar that you should be aiming for if you're pitching a career at a special effects format. You want to be aiming pretty high. Your skill set's got to be right up there, because there's like 1,000 guys up there that are just brilliant, make you want to give up and become a gas station attendant. I see people all the time that are just make me want to vomit.
Yeah.
But this is kind of an example of the kind of the work that the people do that will make you want to vomit. I'm going to just hand it over that way, and you can just sort of swan it around. Don't steal it.
I don't think anybody wants to steal a dead baby. Am I right? Or is there any weirdos in the back there?
You feel the weight of its head.
You're all good for stealing the baby. So does anybody have any questions in relation to miniatures effects? Yeah.
It's just a question on, two questions. One is, have you seen people, I think audiences have become a lot more sophisticated when it comes to looking, and back in the 80s, 80s and 90s, we switched to digital, and then they realised
it doesn't work. No.
Have you seen definitely a bias back to the physical?
The physical stuff is coming back, but I think it's good to say that there should be a safe marriage between the two of them. I think if we just say, we'll do it all practical, we're going to go down the wrong road. And if we do it all visual effects, you might as well just watch a computer game, Even at the end of the day, there's too much stuff going on, it's too fast, you know what I mean? It's too crazy, and you don't feel like you're watching a movie anymore, But I think when you marry the two of them, like I like Pan's Labyrinth and stuff like that, and Hellboy is kind of cool because they marry really well together, the practical. That's why we hand the baby out. Yeah. But yeah, I would definitely.
They can't kill it.
It's so cute, isn't it? The way its head is lying backwards and broken.
I think, to be honest with your question in terms of special effects relative to practical effects in the film business is, I suppose the leading decision making when it comes to using those is basically schedule. TV moves at a really fast pace. They have their own deadlines to meet. They have their own vendors to supply the finished product to, and because of that, there's a decision making level that has to happen on the ground that is assisted massively by visual effects, particularly digital effects. On bigger, sophisticated films, Star Wars and that, particularly when directors have come from a place where they've grown up looking at practical effects, there's an investment, an affectionate investment on their part to use practical effects, but also because audiences, in terms of TV, they tend to forgive a lot, but in terms of film, they don't. And Star Wars is, I think, a good example of that kind of reinvestment in practical effects. But you kind of have to, take stock of the practical effects.
You don't have to take it if you don't want to, by the way.
You have to
Don't
take
feel
stock of the
compulsory.
practical
It's
effects
not
that you're looking at.
compulsory to
They're
take that
really
thing.
good. They're top-end stuff. And that's the hard bit about getting into the special effects business. The kind of the learning curve is steep and expensive.
But you do, since the 80s and 90s, you do have a progression in our materials and the way we make things as well. So even though the visual effects has grown, we've grown as well, the practical world of how we make things, from latex to, to silicons, and then to different rubbers that we use on swords and stuff, to way things look better. Like I use a chroming machine itself. I flew it in from Italy just to chrome the swords. So instead of having to hand spray them. So we're moving on every aspect practically as well, as fast as the visual effects guys are moving as well. But it's married, when you get the two things to work right, it's cool,
So if you're trying to break into special effects, do
Ye-
you have to specialize in one thing? Or
Yeah.
is it better to be
Well,
broad?
it'd be broad, but you'd want to concentrate on one aspect of your at first. You wouldn't want to come in and go, well, I can kind of mold make and I can kind of sculpt and I can kind of design. You want to maybe get one of them knocked down, like model making or makeup. Just focus on that. And then, like when I started working with Tom, because both of our, like with the prosthetics and the props, we started helping each other out. We'd got to do with materials. I was like, well, Tom, this works for this. Or he would say, Mark, that silicone is going to really help your
It's quite
prop.
good. You mirrored the bunny hop off each other.
Yeah.
To deliver
And then I
my
would
end
learn
product,
that.
and he's able to deliver his end product based on our kind of mutual skill sets.
And it pushes up the final product then.
Yeah, but
You know?
it's a funny thing. I think if you want to, if you can, what?
I drink it straight out of the bottle too.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
I think if you, in terms of your skill set, there's probably a couple of key things that you should work on. I think you should work on your ability to draw, and that will lead to your ability to design. You should work on your ability to sculpt, which will lead to your utility in terms of how you can be placed in a workshop, and then learning how to figure out how to make a mold or even a basic mold, and I mean the materials used to make that mold. That sort of really fleshes you out, gives you a good degree of muscle to be placed in the right position, and then also your ability to think. There's an investigative process with approaching this business. You've got to be a little bit of a detective in figuring things out. You've got to look at the photographs.
And digital sculpting is a huge thing
Yeah.
for us now as well, to print stuff out. That's really big for our prop
Yeah.
making. For me anyway, for prop making, it's really handy that I can turn the printer on when I go home and come back in the morning and my prop is finished and I take all the credit for it.
But he's got to hand it
handy.
over to. He's got to hand it over to one of his dudes to make a mold
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah, but to know the mold of it, how to do an injection mold, different types of molds, because there's tons, so it's good to know. Now, I might find it hard to mold that guy, so I'd probably just print him out again.
I'd have no problem molding that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
So when you've done your sculpting on ZBrush or whatever,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
you print it off.
Yeah.
Do you obviously you sand it down, or do you use the EXT?
No, well, like the printer that we have there now is, I just dip it into an isopropyl alcohol bath, and then sometimes I'll give it a little bit of a thing of acetone, and that hardens it. But it also, just a finishing, I'll give it like a finished lacquer, and it takes the lines out. Sometimes if you have some lines, like I go at 0.5 mil, and then if I just spray it with lacquer, it gets rid of all that kind of 3D printed lines. Yeah.
hand this around as well. Does anybody want to see this? I'm going to hand this over on this side. You guys can have a good old fiddle over there as well.
Touch.
Don't pull any hair out.
There's no fiddling the baby.
But this is a prosthetic that was used for
Right.
a television called Dawn that went out in Hulu recently. Mark worked on that.
What was
I
it?
didn't.
What was it?
Dawn.
Dawn. Yeah. That was a... What production was that?
Neanderthal for
Production.
Neander Productions.
No, but what production was that? Who made it? What company?
You did?
No, Warner Brothers or something.
Oh, I've no idea.
I don't know.
Warner,
But-
it could have been MGM or something.
MGM. It was MGM, yeah.
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 Just what would be the steps involved in making like an extraterrestrial or an alien kind of prosthetic?
I'll let Tom, the makeup guy.
For what?
Yeah, no, it would, yeah.
The first
it would.
steps are your design. You got to design it.
Yeah.
That's the first thing you got to do. So you got to come up with a complete concept that you can then. I mean, I'm assuming it's something that you want to do yourself. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, you have to figure out the steps at which you approach the job, and they've got to be sequential. If you kind of come at it from all different angles, you'll kind of get to an end halfway through or before you start properly, and you'll trip yourself up. So you have to figure out your start point, your middle point, your end point. And with an alien, something like that you've got to really flesh out the design itself. You start in paper, then you move to Photoshop, then maybe something like ZBrush, or you can do a little maquette yourself. Once you have a little maquette, you then start breaking it down again even further to a life-size piece.
It's quite
And
a
then
long process.
You move from
Yeah.
there. Yeah, but I mean, depending
But
on
it's
how
well
fast you
worth it.
move. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still an advocate. I'm still very much, my foot is still very much based in the practical world. Mark is very much digital. And I think I still think that, unless you're really good at digital stuff, and Mark is, you know, you can be really fast at making small things practically so people can see them straight away. Unless you're, you know.
Yeah, but we made all the miniatures for the, to design the Hobbit kind of Goblin world and all these years. We made all the miniatures physically. We didn't 3D print anything because it's more natural looking, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you still have to be able to build this stuff by hand.
And design, you have a good sense of design.
You know, technology is where you want to be when you're asking George Lucas for a job, you know. But if you want to get into the business,
there's someone taking a photo of the baby, is it, with a mask on? That's really scary. And it's a gas mask. Stand up there. You should stand up. And is that the baby? Oh, thank God. Okay. Wow. I was like, what a weird crowd. This crowd is freaky. Wow. The baby. Any other questions, guys? Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
Considering how fast the industry moves, my daughter's hoping to get into SFX. Is there any basic beginner things?
Well, like you can definitely look at YouTube, as I was saying earlier on, and stuff just for the basic stuff. And then there's courses, you know, there's college courses and there's courses. But I would be very wary of what courses you put your money into as well. You want to do a good bit of research that the people have actually worked in the industry. And then it's because it can be quite expensive. And just, you know, if you're going into prop making, you know, there's a prop making college, just check their, you know, the latest work that they find, because it's 4 years of your life in model making. So you really want to make sure you're going to the right place or you're studying the right thing. That's not any of it distracting at all. What was I saying? Model making college. Don't bother. No, do.
Yeah, you have to be. I could interject you with model making college. I don't know.
We're going to be. We run courses ourselves. We try to. Okay, but what happens is we put a course up and we say, let's do a course, and then loads of people book on it, and then we get taken off onto a film, and then we have to tell everybody we have to go to this film because the production companies that hire us, we have to stay a good relationship with them. So it is really just to kind of figure out who you're going to be taught by, and just start off by some YouTube quick sculpting things. I've seen like a guy called Stuart Bray. I think he does some really good YouTube videos. He'd be really good to look at. He does really nice sculpting stuff. YouTube prosthetics, but look at the right ones. Don't look at the latex stuck in your face thing, because when you go to work in the real industry, if you put latex on an actor's face and they have an allergic reaction to it, you have to throw a smoke bomb on the ground and run out the door.
I've done that many times.
Yeah.
I nearly killed Henry Cavill doing a head cast of him, which was fun.
Superman.
And who is Superman?
Someone's going to hit you if you don't talk to him.
Which? The swords. Well, you know, there's different techniques that I don't really produce the swords. That'd be the armorer who would produce the swords on Vikings, and he uses different techniques to produce his swords than, say, Mark would to produce his swords. And there are different costs associated with different techniques and different methods. So I know that it's a big deal to produce the amount of weapons that they do produce, but the cost associated with that, I'm not really 100% certain with. I know that there's a lot of man hours associated with it, and also there's a good degree of accuracy involved in making those weapons. They try to stay relatively historically accurate. It doesn't always work. Sometimes we make throwing stars for Vikings just to make it look cool, but you know that's.
Is that the same with the shield?
Is it the same with the shields on Vikings? I mean, no, the shields were round. The Vikings used round shields, but what colors they painted them, we don't know. I mean, the Vikings are covered in tattoos as well, you know, and they've giant beards and stuff like that. We don't know that. We don't even know what the Vikings really look like. Nobody really knows what they look like, so we kind of make it up based on our best guess.
Are you allowed to say that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you know, there's only one piece of literature that describes physically what they look like, but it was only a small tribal faction in Russia somewhere. It's anybody's guess what they really did look like, and you can't go off the paintings of Chaucer.
You do it kind of. Has everyone seen Tom's work? Some of the the slashes on the face. What's her name? You know, that really cool one that I like. You know,
her name was. It's spelled Pourunn. Thorin.
Thorin
is her name.
Thorin.
Yeah, but somebody might know her as Porun.
Perun.
I don't make this stuff up. I just do my job. But
yeah, but you can do some really cool.
yeah, I mean, we make
effects.
the shields. Getting back to the original question, the shields. It's we best guess it. You know, there's a group of designers that get together and they figure out what would look best, and then we kind of run with that theme within the Viking universe. And so you could say that buys us a degree of credibility, but we really haven't got a clue.
I'm scoping for the baby.
Yeah, all the time. Oh my God, yeah.
What are you saying?
What? God.
What
Well, as soon as you put me on the spot, I just don't know.
What was the question?
When we're making stuff up as we go along, what's the funniest thing? Is that right? When we're making stuff up as we go along? Oh, okay. So I got nominated for an Emmy last year.
Hey.
I got nominated for an Emmy this year as well.
It's quite good.
So, and the thing about the Emmy, last year's Emmy nomination, and I'm very proud about the Emmy nomination, but you know, in particular, last year's Emmy nomination was an odd one because the TV show that the episode that I submitted that for was based off. It was called Yol, Y-O-L, which I think is the Swedish, or not the Swedish, but the Danish Christmas tradition. I don't know, but it's one of those things. Anyway, there's Yol and there's Yuletide and there's Yol.
Where's the funny side of this?
Well, Travis Fimmel, who was the lead, had to be painted as he painted with some sort of he had an Asian girlfriend, and there was supposed to be some kind of drug-induced influential face painting that had to be done on him that he didn't want to do, the director wanted to do, and somewhere in the middle they were having their private discussion, but didn't inform me until I was on set. Now, you know, you try to prepare as much as you can for your day-to-day life on set. But the director turned around to me 5 minutes before we were to shoot that scene and said, "So where's the design for the makeup?" And I was like, "What the fuck? What fucking makeup?" So I turned to Travis, and Travis stood there smiling at me, going, "You're on your own, mate." So at that point, I whipped out my brushes. I went to the one of the sets around the corner. The director was screaming at me at this point, saying, "You didn't do your work, you didn't do your research." And I was looking at Travis going, "You left me on my," you know, I was ready to kill him. And so I ended up by painting him like a Mexican wrestler. And I did. I painted him like a Mexican wrestler. You can look it up. He's got these masky gold things going up. It was terrible.
And do you like it?
I take it.
And then I got nominated for an award for it. So, like, there's no historical reference whatsoever for any Viking that I know of to have makeup on to make him look like a Mexican wrestler. But there you go. That's, you know, the kind of making stuff up on the fly. I mean, things happen so fast on the TV show. Directors change their mind. Actors don't communicate with directors properly, and then don't communicate with me. Producers don't communicate with actors. There's, you know, we don't necessarily have. We have what's called an omnipotent showrunner that isn't always present, which is great. The HODs are then left to run the show, but the problem is when that happens, there's a lack of communication. When the lack of communication ends up on the shooting floor right before the first AD goes, action, you end up on the back foot if you know, that line of communication has been broken. So, you know, we make stuff up on the fly all the time, and I don't know how I got nominated for that award, but I did.
Cool.
Thanks very much.
Cool.
It was nothing. It was actually. I nearly lost my job. I thought my career was finished, but you know, there you go. So yeah, you know.
Joker there. Is it Joker? It is, isn't it?
Wounds and all in Vikings.
How do I do the wounds on Vikings?
Yeah.
How do I do them?
There you go. Do you want to?
Yeah, here.
Come up here and take a look there?
Well, I want to. There you go.
I don't care.
Have a
Cool makeup, by the way. Yeah. Yeah. What's happened to baby actually? What are you doing now? You're the weirdest crowd ever. I don't trust any of you. You're all smiling. You're all looking at the baby. Don't trust you. Who has that? Get the camera on the baby.
What was that?
What was that? That was just my foot.
It was a bomb. Sorry, you've had your hand up for ages. I'll come back to you in a second. Go ahead.
Hi, I have two questions. The first one is, would you rather work on movies or television? And the second one is, being people who work in the industry, how does that influence the way you watch movies? Like, do you tend to be more judgmental of special effects and whatnot?
Myself, I would prefer. I like TV actually. I like TV now because TV is getting quite exciting. I think now, isn't it? Agreed. TV is actually because you can sit down and watch like a Netflix, and you could be sitting there for a good few episodes. And then sometimes a movie is boring. It'd be quite a letdown as well. It'd be like, oh my God, I was waiting for that for so long. But TV, I think, is exciting. They're pumping a nice bit of money into it. They're very supportive to make it grow. So there's some cool actors coming out in it. Even on Into the Badlands, there's some really cool actors in that. Like Nick Frost is in it, Daniel Wu was in it. All these guys I'm not going to name them all out because I'll definitely miss one. But I like TV because it's fast paced and it's very exciting to work in. I do like movies as well because, we're sitting around and you can chill out and relax and you can we're making Lake Town models for weeks on end and thinking it's great fun. That's great, but then the adrenaline working in TV is quite cool actually, because the extras are buzzed, everyone's buzzed, it's like a real good fun. And what was the other question again?
How does working in the industry?
So when we're looking at a movie, it's terrible. I get quite judgmental as well. I'm like, that looks terrible. I was very disappointed with a recent Alien movie. Because I loved the Alien movies growing up, and then just seeing it, I was like, oh God, they've ruined that kind of thing.
I loved it.
Yeah, how did you love that thing?
Well,
anyway,
it's funny, but I have the complete opposite. I have the opposite.
It's good. It's a good thing.
Opinion than Mark. I hate almost all television. I can't even watch Vikings.
Boo.
I know. I love movies, but I hate them all because they're
I hope you're
all...
getting that. He's recording, yeah? He said that he hates Vikings. The Vikings producers should get rid of him and take me in there. I'll run the boat productions. Get rid of him.
The first episode of Vikings that was done by Johan Rennick was pretty amazing.
Yeah, and the rest he said he hated.
No, I find television is good in one way, in that series-based television allows different directors to come in and tell the story their way and inject a certain gravitas or energy that one episode might not have. And I think the TV is good that way. You shake it up a little bit. It kind of monkeys around your sort of parental atrium, if you like, and kind of you get to explore the same story, virtually through your television in really interesting ways from one point to the end. Whereas movies, it's one story told by one director with helmed by a bunch of producers that often are the puppet masters that don't always make necessarily the right decisions or the best decisions based on the subject matter. So unless you are, like, movies are where you want to be, the pace is a little bit slower. You're not, you're not ground to the... Well, you had 16 weeks to make a mod on.
Yeah, but like movies, look, it's with two different points of view, which is good. We're going to actually start arguing now.
Star Wars, we're talking like Star Wars versus...
Star Wars is obviously awesome.
Before, once.
Just a normal...
if you're talking about those kind of movies, I'm talking... If I had in either situation, I'd be on movies. I wouldn't be on television. Just because the pace is... The pace is insane. It's insane.
It's good fun, though. It is good fun. Yeah, TV is awesome, basically.
Films are awesome.
Okay, anyone else, guys? Are we... Yeah?
Is there any movies that you can think of? Is there any movies, examples of movies that you can think of that rely too heavily on digital or maybe even physical, special effects,
Yeah.
that you can think of?
Alien.
Yeah, all of them.
You see the practical effects in the 90s and around the 80s and 90s in Alien and all that, you're really in the film. You feel like you're really in the film. I just think
this is
they
a
left
relatively
that.
young audience. I mean, does anybody like looking at digital effects in film
Digital
and
effects is
television?
great. I think digital effects is brilliant.
What?
If you marry it to get it right, am I right?
Well, has anybody seen
two of them
Valerian?
together- Pulse College, they're here, are they?
Anybody seen Valerian?
They mix that stuff to get it right.
I mean,
And would you find you'd be bored watching just CG?
Oh yeah.
Because you're like obviously you're into
Unanimous.
Comic-Con, you're into real practical stuff. You like being able to see and go, cool, this is how they make it.
well, this is the target market.
Yeah, but they also love visual effects, so there's like a mixture of both. I think is right. You know, you have to have both, isn't it? Yeah, and not necessarily you don't even have to have both. You have to have none. You know, and it can be an amazing movie. You know what I mean? And just a small bit of model making or small bit of visual effects.
Can I just ask, is robotic used as much as
I remember it was on the Hobbit. I remember that they were doing a lot of the arcs, animatronics, and they were beautiful. I thought they were cool. I knew the guy that done it. I knew the effects, the way they moved. You could see it. It was awesome. And then they just said, nah, scrap it, do it digitally. And then I thought that really lacked. It just went, for me anyway, I'll obviously never get a job with Peter Jackson again, but it just lacked that little bit of the original thing in The Lord of the Rings of where you could see the arcs and stuff. They went completely all digital. And you know that like swooping thing in the air, you see that, you know, the blurred out image and all that kind of stuff. Maybe it's just not ready just yet to be all digital, you know. But again, like, even if you're mixing a prop with something digital as well, if you're replacing like hands, you're making a robotic legs and stuff like that, or a T-Rex, you know, something crazy. It's a mixture of both of them. And like I work with the visual effects guys quite close on stuff. So we have to be all on the same page if we're making something cool, you know?
Robotics and animatronics, you have to be really high end to make it work. You have to be really, really good at that stuff.
And they were really high end stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I was in Australia. I worked on Star Wars, the second, the really shit one. And
we're just never going back there, are we?
What? No, yeah.
We're just losing more content. No, we're not.
They had a really lovely animatronic version of Yoda, and the reason I know this is because I was going to sell my ass to get on that job. You know, I was young and I really wanted to get into the prosthetics department, and they had me pegged to puppeteer Yoda. I mean, Australia was a great town for that. Like you could. There's no kind of, you know. There's no gates that are closed to. If you have the chops and you know the initiative, you get it. If you go over there, they give you a job. They give you a crack at the whip. If you fuck it up, you're out. So in that case, I was pegged to puppeteer Yoda. They chalked me up for that. But then Lucas arrived, like the Emperor arriving at the Death Star, and he started axing all the puppets and just went digital. And since then, they've done 3 different iterations of the digital Yoda on the same film.
It just looks weird.
And it just looks awful.
Doesn't it?
It's awful, yeah. Like, and the technology has moved on. And it's been, 20 years since they made that, you know? And it's moved on. It's still not any better. The problem is, though, the problem with digital stuff is you can make the decision after the film. It allows the director to make a decision after the footage has been shot. In the old days, the original Star Wars, let's just use Star Wars as an example, you had to make a decision prior to getting to set. And that's why the CGI and special effects is utilized as much as it is, because it just alleviates that pressure from the directors when they get to the floor.
He was trying to sell an editing suite and all that digital technology as well onto the film.
Was he?
So he was trying to promote all this.
Wow. Well,
yeah, we've another question over here.
I was just thinking with the robotics versus the CGI, a lot of that happened in Stargate. So at the start of Stargate, you would have had robotics for the Asgard, and then towards the later half of SG-1, you would have had the CGI Asgard. And I always thought the puppets and the robotics was a lot better.
Yeah.
But the story I love was, I think Amanda Tapping was at a panel, and she said one of the times there was a celebration on one of the Asgard ships.
Yeah.
And without thinking, she turned around and hugged Thor.
Wow,
and apparently the robot took a fit.
Really?
And just started shaking because she'd actually kind of broke the robot from turning around and just hugging
you can
it.
see the robotics guy behind going, oh my God.
Yeah.
Don't touch it. Yeah.
But I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, well, practically, and it's good for the actors, I suppose, as well, so they're not just acting to a green puppet or a screen. You can see the acting, not the acting skills going, because there's some amazing actors that can do green screen, but obviously they prefer to be working maybe with something physical, you know, and something cool.
I have a question.
Yeah.
About interaction between you and actors, like there is robots
No, like I wouldn't have any like with us and actors.
Like the
Oh, the prosthetics, yeah.
if you have like prosthetic, you have to done some make stuff. It's problem working with actors, or it's okay.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes you have actors that just don't want to wear a prosthetic, despite the fact that they've been hired to wear it, and they'll do everything humanly possible to sabotage it. Like they'll drink. They'll put emollient moisturizers on before they wear. They'll say they have doctor's problems. They get the job, and then they won't wear the makeup.
Drama queens.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing actually, and they get away with it too, you know.
Yeah.
But there's oftentimes.
How do
there's
they get
drama.
away with it?
Well,
Drama queens are spoiled, aren't they?
spoil. I don't know. I mean, producers just
But
ultimately the thing is with television and in terms of producers and dealing with actors, they just want to deliver a product to the end user. So it's not really about like if they kick off, it's my problem. The producer's like, fucking get out, you deal with it, you know. As long as it doesn't cost them any money, then it's my problem, and that's fair enough. That's what I'm paid to do. But it happens a lot. A lot of times, a good degree of my skill set is talking them down from the ledge and telling them how great they are. You know. Honestly, yeah. No,
You don't
you'd be
get that at
surprised.
Badlands. Yeah, they're awesome, aren't they? The guys are just they do anything. And the stunt guys are awesome as well. They're just crazy, you know. Serious, a lot of hard work goes in, but
Any nominations on Badlands?
yeah, it's just coming into the third season there now. So, are you finishing soon? Are you? So the third season is coming up now, and yeah,
We're on our sixth season now.
yeah,
It's just,
yeah, it's pretty boring.
how many did
How many bearded people can you kill?
Endless.
Ooh, another head.
Any more questions?
Yeah.
Just wondering, when you make your the digital models and then 3D print them, do you use say someone else's models that say someone just a random person online just made them?
No, a lot of times, like I've set up a digital department in my model making studio as well, separate away from, because we use quite a lot of chemicals and stuff. So I have the 3D guy hidden away in a corner in a dark room with one window, and he just chills out and makes all the 3D models. And I'll go through them with him, because I've just I've studied it as well myself, so I'll be able to design the prop and design the finished look. So if we decide to do it in clear resin or rubbery resin, I have to make sure that the 3D model will, when it is printed, that I'm able to mold that. But everything is done in house. Yeah, everything is done under kind of my make sure I'm happy with it first. Yeah, before we print it out. And we have a letter maker there, so they do all the cool scabbards and stuff. So it's a mix kind of stuff. Yeah.
You do into the Badlands. Did you do all the live swords as well?
Yeah, we did everything. Yeah. So we'll get them cut in aluminium and stuff, and basically whatever they want. You know, if they say I want this sword for this, we'll hopefully try and get it to them. Yeah. Yeah, but anything like a physical. Sometimes we'll go in and physically sculpt it and physically make it. If it's easier for us because we're model makers, so if it's quicker than waiting for a 3D printer to do it, we'll just make it ourselves. Sculpt it, carve it, or whatever, Yeah.
And you did all the prosthetics as well?
No, we didn't do the prosthetics. There's a very good prosthetics guy called Matthew Smith and Claire Lamb.
Okay.
She was the head of the makeup department, and they were very, very, very good on that as well. And Matthew would have been trained up through with Tom as well.
Oh yeah.
He would have trained Matthew up. And
He's very good.
They're all very good. As I said, it's not just us. I have a team, I have really good model makers in Ireland. There's Garrett Ryan, you know what I mean? And he's a really, really good model maker. He's my assistant. And he's quite awesome. And then Tom would have his team, So you've some really good model makers and stuff out there. If you kind of follow them on Instagram and stuff, their stuff is quite good.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm only as good as the team behind me.
Yeah, that's it. Because most of the time I'm running around in meetings a lot of times, and then I'll just get to make something, and then I'll go mold it. See you later. I have to go to the meeting. And that's the way it goes when you start running a shop. You get a kind of, like in Penny Dreadful, I was making an awful lot of stuff, and then on Dawn I started heading up what the look was going to be of it, and then on Badlands I'm kind of working with all departments, and then my guys are doing a lot of the making, and I might maybe finish the prop or do something kind of cool to it or whatever.
Who's got the baby?
Yeah, where is that baby? It's on the other side. Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, jeez, wow, there's a few of them. Oh, now you're getting excited, huh?
Yeah. I'm just be paranoid. And do we have more people coming in, or are we okay to?
How many people? 1, 2,
We're
3.
okay, yeah.
Okay, so you go first, and I'll ask you. And yeah, you go ahead.
Quick question on your portfolio for model making.
Yeah.
What do you prefer to see? Do you prefer to see a replica of a prop from, say, another film? Or
Yeah.
do you prefer to see original designs?
I like to see original stuff myself, and what I get, because I see quite a lot of portfolios, I'd like to see maybe 10 finished pieces, maybe instead of 100-page portfolio of how you got there. You know, you can maybe describe you used a certain silicon, blah blah blah, and then you got to use silver powder to get a kind of a finish. But if you show, because I've seen all the process, and what I find is if I have 100 if there's a lot of portfolios there, that if I'm going through it, if I get one really nice and neat, because it's model making and we're a little bit OCD, nice and neat portfolio, with just finished pieces, photographed really well, and that you've designed yourself. But it doesn't have to be designed yourself. It can be your version of something cool, but definitely just a little bit of your own touch into it, because that's the big thing with me, is because we have to design new stuff constantly. And if we just stay handing out the same stuff, the fans get bored,
Thanks.
Yeah, cool.
Do you prefer to work on series where the props or makeup have to be more realistic, or do you prefer sort of sci-fi fantasy where you have a bit more freedom with what you do?
I like a little bit of creative stuff as well. If I'm given a clear objective going into the props, it's good. But I actually like a bit of creativity on it. And if it's sci-fi or fantasy or orky kind of weapons or whatever, and even on the Neanderthal kind of stuff, we didn't know what kind of weapons they really had. I just had to delve into the tribe, so I would research down to some tribe, and one of the tribes was quite chilled out, hippie kind of guys, and we just did like a nice bone finish on it, and then the other guys were very aggressive, so we had skulls and all this kind of stuff, but it was just the way we kind of sculpted them and carved them. We were really aggressive and finished them with cool kind of painting techniques, but it's nice to have that little bit of freedom. I don't like just the same thing over and over, mold the knife, mold the knife, mold that knife, that's kind of boring for me. I like to go for it. And the guy that took me out in Ireland, this guy called Philip Murphy, he's like a set dresser and art director. He's been giving me the freedom to just go wild, which he's a really cool guy for that. Was that a mention? Was that a name drop? It was. I name dropped.
Philip Murphy's a really cool guy.
He is, though. He is. He's a really cool guy. He's cooler than Tom McInerney. Already, I probably didn't answer that question properly, did I?
Well, I like to do any job that I can express my creativity, well, and whether that's science fiction or whether it's period pieces, it doesn't really matter. But a lot of the time, you tend to once a look is established, like the pilot or the beginning couple episodes, after that it becomes a little bit of repetitive, yeah, a little repetitive, But like science fiction, I suppose would be, for me at least anyway, I've been doing period for the last 10 years, maybe 12 years.
The Tudors or whatever.
Yeah, the Tudors, and then period and contemporary, and that's like getting the bus. I'd give my teeth to do some sci-fi. I mean, I've done stuff. I've done Star Wars, and I've done Queen of the Damned. I've done a couple of those little things, which are great. That was years and years ago. But now, the more you can, the more creative the project, the happier I usually am, because it presents a certain set of challenges that, and overcoming those challenges are what make the job really satisfying.
Good thing in that portfolio actually is to have a Photoshop, nice concept image, and then the finished piece, just to see can you follow a good directive as well. Like if you're given a concept image of a prop or a makeup or something, it's make sure that you can actually copy that it's not too far away from the concept. That's quite good as well, I think.
Who's next? Has anybody else got any other questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What's your favourite prop that you've ever made?
Is that for me or Tom?
What's your best prop that you've ever made?
I used to love making the Lake Town miniatures. I just thought Lake Town was such a really cool place. Actually, the behind the scenes, I had one that was, it took me about 5 weeks to make it. And I was walking it over to the table and I fell and tripped and broke it. It took me 5 weeks to make it. And behind the scenes, the first time on it. and fell on top of it. Yeah.
Did you fall on top
Yeah, I
of it?
did. I fell on top of it. I broke every bit of it. Broke every single bit of it. There was no jigsaw there. It was gone.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Anybody
Yeah.
else?
Yeah.
Yeah, hit it. Go ahead.
How stable is the industry?
How stable is the industry?
Yeah, like, would it be good to just try jump in, or
Yeah, well, like right now there's Game of Thrones, which could be finishing up pretty soon. You've got Artemis Fowl, which is happening in Belfast. You've got Krypton, which has been made in Belfast. Then you've got in Troy Studios, there's a science fiction being made there. There's some other science fiction that's coming in. You've got Vikings, which has gone on for about another year, and then after Vikings, then there's another TV show. So the industry is we're experiencing the golden age of television right now. You know, and all of it is very like the fantastic thing. I think the most poignant thing about the industry here is that the TV shows that are being shot here are rated amongst the top 5 in the world.
In the world.
So
here in
that
Ireland,
says a whole
we're
lot.
some of the biggest showers in the
Yeah.
world. You know?
So you know, like it's a good time to.
You're in a good place
get
to
into
do
the
it.
industry, yeah.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. It's awesome.
And bring money. I'll take bribes.
Yeah. I do not.
Sorry. What kind of, like, how do you get into the industry? Do you have to just know
Bribes.
somebody?
Bribes. Just money.
Besides bribes, if you don't have
There's
money.
nothing besides bribes. No.
Like, do you have to team up with
I wouldn't.
an agency or something like that?
No,
or-
no. It's you want to get, as I said earlier on, a good portfolio together, but get a good, strong one first. Don't just jump in. You know what you're talking about a little bit with your portfolio and stuff, and get that right. And then maybe seeking to get some contacts. Like we look at Facebook. You can contact anybody now, but like we've a minor side effect. That doesn't mean everybody floods with mad portfolios. Just and that's another thing you can't for hounding somebody. If you hound, like if you send every week a message, why can I get a job? Can I get a job? Can I get a job? They'll just block you. You have to be very smart about it. Do it once. Make sure it's nice and neat. Be polite in the way you're approaching it. That's what I did.
If you're gonna put your work forward, put your best work.
Best
forward.
work
Don't
forward.
put mediocre work.
No. Don't do any half-finished stuff.
Yeah.
Half-finished props is the worst.
Like, look at the kind of work that's out there that people are putting up to display. Look at the work that professionals in the industry are putting up, and mimic that. If you're going to mimic that standard, if you want to get a job, that's because there's very little training. I know we have trainees, but there's very little training on the job. You got to hit the ground running when you start.
Yeah.
And if you fuck up too many times before you hit the starting points, like you're gone. Because we don't have time to carry you. We don't have time to carry.
No, because
anybody.
I've taken
Having
people
said that,
on
we're
the
not-
last
we're not-
week.
it's
I've
not
taken
like-
a few people on the last week, just recently.
It's not like The
and-
Apprentice where
No, but they're doing great.
Yeah.
And it's not scary as you think. It's not like, oh my God, I'm going to mess up. Everybody's nervous starting off in the industry. It's a complete normal thing. But when you get your feet and you just listen and just go, yeah, okay. It can be a simple step-by-step process. That's what it is. And just take each step. You know what I mean? Do your first 2 steps and go, cool, I've got them down. Now I can move on. But I wouldn't try and do it all real quick like a crazy monster with stuff coming out of his ears and stuff. Like, do a cool scar that blends in really well, that blends into the face. Do a prop that's finished nice, that looks like it's metallic, and, just a small thing, even a small penknife. It can be that. It can be a penknife made really well from start to finish instead of a galactic, arc sword. Just take everything down to a nice level, I think.
What if you're coming more from the digital side of things?
Print it off and then
Print
pretend
off.
you made it. Yeah, that's what I do. Just digital things. If you want to be a digital model maker, that's the same process. Send your digital model making stuff. And that's the way we can break it down. But nothing half done. There's the baby.
Yeah, where's the prize? Who's got the
Now
prize?
are we? Another question. Are you
Anybody
all right?
else?
Yeah, work away. There's no problem. I just
Yeah,
want to
hit
keep
it.
you all in the room.
No, in my world they're very specific. It's not just the directors, but the producers as well. They all have
Vision.
an opinion on the. Sometimes you have a very strong showrunner. I don't know. Do you have a showrunner on Badlands?
Yeah, and we'd follow them because it's their look. At the end of the day, it's not my nothing we make here is belong to me or my finished designs. I'm not like or Tom We're
Yeah.
not to the main designers. It's all got to do with how, if they don't like it, we're not making
Yeah.
it. You know, as
So
simple as.
I think with us, in terms of that design, what they'll do is they'll give us a vague concept and we take it away and try to do something cool with that concept, give
Yeah.
it back to them and ask them do they like it. Then for me, it gets swanned around LA and whoever else is involved, and then it comes back with a yes or a no. But oftentimes it can end up in this endless loop of some people liking one thing and other people liking another thing. So the design element, in terms of your input, is almost it's almost reductive in the phase at which you implement it, because everybody everybody wants a shot at doing something cool. You know, the thing is, there's this phrase, I don't know what I'm looking for, keep showing me options, I'll know it when I see it. And that is one of the most expensive sentences in the industry, but it's one of these sentences that directors, producers constantly kind of hang off. So what we have to do is give them tons and tons of options, and those options
But
are
they
based on
trust you
good design.
as well. They trust you to get to the final image
Oh,
for
yeah.
them. You know, the final look.
Yeah,
They
that's
do.
that's
They
how you
wouldn't
get your
hire
job.
otherwise, yeah.
You got to come up. You got to be able to design good stuff, but you got to be able to do lots of good stuff. You got to give them lots of options, but you also have to be able to say at some point, you know, no, it can't go any further than this because the deadline's looming and we won't hit our target. So design is important. Your ability to stretch that design is important, but don't marry yourself to the design either, because you know ultimately when somebody else is writing the check, you know they have I got to stop?
No, we just have one more question.
All right,
I
sorry.
didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Who is that?
Eek. We have one more question. Is that what it is? Yeah, and then you know, feel free then to come up and touch the things. Don't fiddle with them.
I just have a question. You're saying you'd like to see 10 finished pieces in a portfolio.
Yeah.
But have you any interest in seeing a nice sculpted piece or a nice mould that?
Mould, most certainly, and the sculpt is probably good.
Yeah.
Down here.
So I can't see.
I think you did on one of our courses as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're quite talented. So I think. Just down here, Tom. Relax. Just relax.
Sorry, right, okay, couldn't see.
Easy.
I can't see anything.
Yeah, but it's good to see that, maybe, you know, but not for every single one of them,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Maybe just to show this, that you sculpted it, that you did the mould, and then that can be at the very end of it. But I would always say your strongest ones first, you know, because that's what's going to grab the interest in. If you put like a really weak one at the start and then second, and you're like, wait until I see the end. We might just go first, second.
Yeah.
Oh God, quick, another one. You know, so you want to put really strong stuff, you know, in the first 2-3 pages.
Thank you.
Cool. Ba-bam.
That's it.
Thanks
Get
very
lost.
much, everybody.